Coming up next, was he a soap star turned rock star or a rock star who just happened to play a doctor on TV? Back in the early 80s, this was a ridiculous debate that the music press couldn't seem to figure out. The answer was really simple, though. It didn't matter. This guy was a multi-talented performer who was at home, both in the studio and behind the camera. He was fantastic. And you gotta give him credit. While living the life of a pop star on two fronts, somehow he managed to write some of the biggest hits of the day, one of which is today's featured track. See if you can guess what it is. It's a song he actually wrote in a state of frenzied paranoia. He was worried that his girl was cheating on him while he was on the road. In reality, he was the one who was being unfaithful. It's a crazy story about this song. And as an added bonus, we're giving you the story straight from the artist himself. Had the privilege of interviewing him recently. It's coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. I'm telling you, if you want the greatest stories of the greatest songs in rock history, the songs you grew up with, that become the soundtrack of your life, straight from the legends who sang or performed or wrote them, make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the big red button, click the bell. That way you know when our stuff's coming out. We also have a Patreon. Check us out there. You can become an honorary producer and help us to create this music history. So it's time for another edition of one of my favorite shows we do on here. It's called Number One in Our Hearts. This is a show that honors songs that were so great, they absolutely should have been number one on the Billboard Hot 100, on the chart. But for whatever reason, be it lack of marketing, radio play, label support, or even just sheer stupidity, song came up short. On today's episode, we're gonna cover an absolute gem from the early 80s. And this song has a story that's pretty hard to believe, but it's true. See if you can guess the song from the artist and from the year and the story before we get to it. Comment below. By 1982, Rick Springfield was no stranger to the US charts after securing 3 Hot 100 Top 20 hits from his 5th studio album, Working Class Dog. After years of struggle, everything was finally coming together for the Australian-born rocker. So in the midst of recording his breakout album, Rick Springfield was cast as the young and eligible Dr. Noah Drake on the popular daytime soap opera General Hospital. Rick started appearing on the long-running drama in 1981. The show's audience was immediately smitten by Springfield's character for the very start, and he soon became one of his most popular cast members from that era.
Wow. How are the facilities measuring up, Noah?
Almost everything Steve said it is.
Now, at the same time, Rick doubled down on his on-screen popularity thanks to everyone's favorite music video network, at least in the 80s when they played music. I'm talking about MTV. The channel helped power Rick's smash hit Jessie's Girl with a truly iconic video that reportedly had the singer smashing 24 mirrors during the shoot. Man, that was one of the biggest videos of the early 80s. Jessie's Girl was without a doubt Springfield's 80s breakthrough hit. It won him a Grammy for Best Male Rock Vocal Performance. But that wasn't all. Another cut from the album, I've Done Everything for You, that also became a smash hit. This song was written and performed by Sammy Hagar, and he released it as a single back in '78. But when Rick got his hands on it, he took it to number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. Another big hit. He was a music video star. Now, the album's 3rd single, Love Is Alright Tonite, great song, that one reached number 20, cemented Working Class Dog as an indisputable commercial triumph, one that reached platinum status here in the US. All of a sudden, Rick Springfield was a double pop culture phenomenon. He was bouncing both a daytime TV career and that of a bona fide rock star. So then on March 23rd, 1982, Rick followed up Working Class Dog with his 6th studio album, Success Hasn't Spoiled Me Yet. And real quick, I've got to give a shout out to both album covers, which of course feature Springfield's best friend, Ronnie the Bull Terrier. First time around, Ronnie was dressed up in a shirt and tie, and then the second time he was sitting in the back of a limo between 2 female poodles. So funny. Like his predecessor though, this new record contained a trio of hits. It included What Kind of Fool Am I Get Excited, and today's featured song. Did you guess it? It's Don't Talk to Strangers. Great song.
Tell me what kind of fool
come as no surprise, Rick wrote Don't Talk to Strangers while he was taping General Hospital episodes. And I mean this literally. At the time he was working on this album, Rick was in the middle of an insanely hectic schedule that had him shooting during the week and performing concerts on the weekend. This is crazy. Listen to this. So recounting the episode, Rick said, "I'm filming General Hospital, a show that is now drawing 12 million viewers a day, 5 days a week. Then I'm jumping on a plane Friday night and flying out to meet my band in some part of the US, playing a show that night. Then I fly to another city Saturday doing another show, flying to a third city on Sunday, doing a show. Then I get up at 3:30 Monday morning to catch another plane back to LA in time to walk onto the set at ABC for the next week of General Hospital." Insane. It was madness. And adding to it, Rick was also on the phone doing radio interviews during his lunch hour and also when he finally would get home at night. This pop star was doing like 18 hours a day, 7 days a week nonstop, only breaking for a little bit of sleep. In his words, it was a brutal schedule. So where did Don't Talk to Strangers fit into all this? According to his biography, Late at Night, he wrote the song and others in his dressing room during breaks between General Hospital scenes. There he kept a keyboard and a guitar and a tape recorder at the ready so he could write whenever he wanted. I mean, this guy had to be superhuman. Somehow through it all, he managed to write more than enough songs for the new record, if you can believe that. Now, when it came time to play his demos for his producer, Keith Olsen, the two worked together to pick out the best ones. Only in Keith's opinion, that list, it didn't include Don't Talk to Strangers. He really didn't like it. Good news here is that Rick loved it and he fought for it to be on the album. Said to Rick about it, and he's talking about it like it's happening. He said, "I've had the title Don't Talk to Strangers on a piece of paper on my piano for a while. In fact, it was the original title of Jessie's Girl before I got into that song and fleshed it out. Keith Olsen doesn't like Strangers when he hears the demo and he rejects it. So I go home and I re-demo it, convinced it should be included. To our eventual mutual pleasure, I win." Assisting Rick on the track was Charles Sanford on guitar. There was Tom Kelly and Richard Page who helped out with the background vocals. Now, Charles Sanford, if you're not familiar, he would go on to co-write a bunch of hits, including John Waite's Missing You. Tom, of course, would work with Billy Steinberg on lots of #1 hits, including Cyndi Lauper's True Colors.
See your true colors shining through.
Of course, Richard Page found big-time success with his band Mr. Mister as the lead singer. So there's some big names tied to the track.
Take these broken wings.
Now, considering his schedule, Rick didn't have a lot of time to spend in the recording studio. So he really had to rely on Keith to shape this album. Probably more than he wanted to. But when Rick heard the finished mix of the album, particularly Don't Talk to Strangers, he was ecstatic. He said, and I quote, "It sounded like a freaking hit." Now, like Jessie's Girl before it, Don't Talk to Strangers tells a story about a girl who is with the wrong guy. Only this time in a new context. This time, Rick and the girl are actually together. However, now other guys are trying to win this girl over, and rumors are flying about what's going on. The song is filled with an unmistakable air of paranoia. Acting more than a little obsessive, Rick hasn't confirmed his girl is cheating on him, but he doesn't like the stories he's hearing, and he cautions her, "Don't talk to strangers, he'll only use you up." The idea here, of course, is that every guy has only one thing on his mind, and they just can't be trusted. Now, Rick, for his part, he's admitted that he's talking from experience with this one. As he's recounted in his memoirs and in multiple interviews, Don't Talk to Strangers was written about his then-girlfriend and future wife, Barbara Porter. So the two met when she was just 15 and they started dating when she was a few years older. As Rick's career continued to rise, like many rock stars with temptations on the road all the time, infidelity became a way of life for him. That's where the twist for this song comes in. Amazingly, Don't Talk to Strangers is actually about his own guilt about cheating on Barbara while he was on the road. It chronicles his own sexual insecurities and projects them onto her. Said Rick Springfield about it, and I quote, "Don't Talk to Strangers was about my girlfriend who became my wife. I was screwing around on the road and I was worried that she was doing the same thing while I was away. So it was my paranoia to her. I'm getting laid, but don't you do the same thing because it really upsets me. I mean, how crazy is that? He's worried about her cheating on him. He's cheating himself, cheating on her. Rick goes into his extracurricular activities in pretty blatant detail in his autobiography, which is a must-read late at night. I'll link to it below, one of the best rock biographies out there. So you can get the rest of the story there. But suffice to say, Rick was consistently doing to Barbara exactly what he feared she was doing to him. But credit Barbara as a saint. Even after she found out, what was going on, she stuck by Rick and she helped him turn things around. Before her, the thought of marriage had never really crossed Rick's mind. But in 1984, the two got married and they had a couple of kids. And though it was a rocky road, the couple have stayed together ever since. One of the longest marriages in rock and roll history. It's like 150 years in regular years. All right, so with that as a way of introduction, let me turn the story over to Rick, whom I had the privilege of interviewing a few years back. Here's what he said about the song. Your second record, Success Hasn't Spoiled Me Yet, another big album for you. Tell me about doing that, because that went platinum. Again, Keith Olsen produced.
That album I was on the road so much with, and still on General Hospital, that it was the album that I've had the least involvement in, because I just didn't have the time.
Right.
And Keith offered to produce the whole thing, so I let him produce it. And I was there for all the recording and everything, but I wasn't there for the mixing, which is really weird for me. And he'd send mixes, but I remember hearing the first mix on Don't Talk to Strangers and all that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
great. Well, that was the original title of Jessie's Girl, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I had it written in the margin of the song and crossed out. But I always liked the title. I always liked those, like Lennon used to take kid things like Oompa Oompa, Sick-a-Dippa Jumpa, and put it on a song, a song, and put all the old things he remembered as a kid. And I always loved that. And Don't Talk to Strangers was one that always stuck in my head. And I thought would make a great title because it could be, turned to mean adults, which I did mean in that. And I did my demo, my original demo of that, I played for Keith, and he didn't pick it for the album.
Really?
So I knew it was a good song, so I went back and recut it. I originally sang the chorus in falsetto, so I went back and recut it a little lower and sang it full voice, and he really liked it, and it ended up being the first single.
When it went to number 2, it was for 4 weeks, and it was behind Ebony and Ivory.
I know.
Remember that?
If I'm going to be kept out number 1 by anyone, of course it should be Polly.
I know. That's great.
Ebony and Ivory. Baby, don't you talk to strangers.
Yeah, I'd split up with my girlfriend, who actually happens to be walking around here, is now my wife. And
You met her, she was a receptionist, right?
Yeah. A lot of the first songs were about her, actually.
Yeah.
Except Done Jessie's Girl, because that was before I met her. But the second album certainly is about her.
Yeah.
And that was, we split up one time, and that was, actually we split up 57 times, but that was one of the first times.
So even after the massive success of Working Class Dog and Jessie's Girl, there were a lot of naysayers out there calling Rick Springfield a total fluke. They claimed that his music was only popular because he was on General Hospital. Now, obviously, that wasn't the case, but some members of the press got the idea that he was just a soap actor propped up by a clever producer. However, Don't Talk to Strangers helped debunk that false narrative. Don't Talk to Strangers entered the Billboard Hot 100 at number 57. It was the lead single from Success Hasn't Spoiled Me Yet. It spent an entire month at number 2. It also reached number 2 on the Cashbox chart and went to number 11 on the Top Rock Tracks chart. Internationally, Don't Talk to Strangers went to number 19 in South Africa, went to number 10 in Australia, and it went to number 3 in Canada. The song also earned Rick another Grammy nomination, but this time it was for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance. The music video for Don't Talk to Strangers also gave the song quite a boost, directed by Paul Justman. The video has some really memorable, if not questionable bits, as Rick Springfield tries to keep tabs on his girl, burns her phone, he hides under the table in a restaurant, crashes through a motel window to break up a late-night love affair. There's all that stuff there. Rick Springfield goes all out on this one. turning in one of the ultimate stalker performances, which, speaking of stalkers, that was a subject I'm sure Rick had to deal with himself. Being both a rock star and playing a doctor on daytime television, fans and girls in particular, they were always chasing him around. According to Rick, mobs of young girls were there wherever he went. Concerts, record signings, radio and TV appearances, he just couldn't escape them. One of the big idols at that moment, I should say teen idol, but he wasn't a teen. If you can believe it, people had trouble separating fiction from reality when it came to who he was. Rick recalled one time, people's confusion about who I really am is highlighted for me when on a plane trip to New York. There's a mid-flight request over the intercom for a doctor. The whole cabin is looking at me. I want to jump up and say, guys, it's an effing TV show. But the confusion didn't stop there. Rick on occasion was also mistaken for another big-name rocker, talking about the boss, Bruce Springsteen. Besides having the same last name or similar last name, Springfield Springsteen, singers were also born a month apart. They both ran in the same musical circles. They even went head-to-head in the Grammy with Jessie's Girl Beating Out the River. And then later they also had a top 20 hit called Human Touch. So addressing the issue clear back in 1978, Rick wrote a song titled Bruce, and he released it as a single in '84 when Born in the USA was big. The boss never wrote a song about Rick that I can think of, unless you think Ricky Wants a Man of Her Own is about him. That's when it's actually about Ricky Lee Jones. But all in all, Rick laughed off the confusion, saying, and I quote, "I like Springsteen a lot, so I wouldn't take offense at such a comparison. I get a lot of people who call me Bruce, but I don't suspect he'd get anyone calling him Rick." So self-deprecating. So 2 more singles were released from Success Hasn't Spoiled Me Yet. The number 21, What Kind of Fool Am I? And the number 32, I Get Excited. Unsurprisingly, the record went platinum, and Rick was riding high from there. His '83 album, Livin' in Oz, that also went platinum. It featured the number 9 hit, Affair of the Heart. The following year, his single Love Somebody from the soundtrack album to the movie Hard to Hold, that hit number 5 on the Billboard singles chart. That gave him 5 top 10 hits in the 80s. Just a monster hit. By this point, Rick had solidified his place as a preeminent power pop artist, no doubt about it. But after years of seemingly non-stop live performances, grueling tour schedules, and recording hit albums, Rick Springfield took a time out. He did that to spend time with his family when his first son was born in '85. A couple more albums followed in the '80s, but then Rick took a prolonged break. We wouldn't see another studio record until 1999's Karma. From there, Rick has continued working like a madman. He's released 11 more albums in the new millennium, the most recent of which, Automatic, dropped in 2023. I mean, talk about a working class dog. And his stuff is great. His new stuff is great. His last 5 albums, especially. Well, let's get back to Don't Talk to Strangers for just a minute. For 4 weeks, this no-brainer number 1 sat behind the same chart topper. It was unable to leapfrog it. That track was the Paul McCartney-Stevie Wonder duet, Ebony and Ivory.
Live together in perfect harmony.
Now, Ebony and Ivory spent 7 weeks at number 1. That's a long stretch. I think if Don't Talk to Strangers had been released a little bit earlier, even a little bit later, it would have grabbed that top spot for sure. It would have been number 1. So in the spirit of rewriting chart history like we do, I think McCartney and Wonder could give up 1 week at number 1 for Rick Springfield. I think Don't Talk to Strangers deserves it. Just a great gem from the 80s, and it started to get some play again. You gotta check it out. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Rick Springfield and Don't Talk to Strangers. What are your memories of this song? It's such a great hidden gem. What do you think of his work as an actor on General Hospital, Jessie's Girl? He's just an icon of the 80s for sure. Let's have a great discussion below. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We would love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, I'm telling you, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Talk to you soon.